Hi, Matthew Macklin. Thanks for your time today. Tell me about your own professional boxing career. You're obviously one of Britain's best fighters at the time.
What do you want me to recap what I achieved or what?
Yeah, talk about any are there any particular fights that stand out? What do you think was your best performance?
How you doing? All right. How you doing, Dimitri? Good. I think it's funny because there were probably two losses. I think the performance against even though I say I lost, I thought I won the fight, but I didn't get the decision. That was a good performance. And then actually the fight after that against Sergio Martinez, even though my trainer Buddy McGirt didn't let me out for the last round, he stopped the fight at the end of the 11th. I think it was a good performance in the sense that Martinez at the time was pound for pound just behind Pacquiao and Mayweather. He was, I think, he may have been Ring Fighter of the Year or HBO Fighter of the Year or Knockout of the Year. He was right up there as one of the top fighters. And I think the performance against Stern showed I had energy and determination and could fight at a pace and all that sort of stuff. But I don't think people realised that I could sit back and box and be clever and use my feints, use my head movement and ring generalship, that type of thing. Where I showed that in the Martinez fight, because someone like Martinez, who's like a complete counter puncher and who had faster hands than me and all that, and it's really tricky southpaw, constantly moving. It's very difficult to get more than one shot at a time. Put combinations together was almost impossible because he was so elusive and mobile. So it was funny, in those two fights back to back showed a completely different version of me, because I had to evolve. The tactics. If I'd have gone out and approached that fight like the Stern fight, he'd have chewed me up. They'd have just walked me on to big shot after big shot. But to sit back and box the boxer, it threw him a little bit. I think it upset him. It took him right up to the end of the fight to catch up with me. I mean, going into that 11th round, I was 3 up on one of the cards and a round down the other two. So it was nip and tuck, and considering where he was at the time, I think that was a good performance. He was sold out Madison Square Garden on St Patrick's Day. So yeah. Loads of people came over that I knew to watch the fight. They all have a different story to tell from that weekend in New York. So I feel like I wish I was at the fight as a fan rather than boxing it. But it was those two fights was a period in my career where the Stern fight certainly was a good performance. Martinez fight, preparations went a little bit off key. Bruised my rib 3 weeks out. I had to stop sparring. Then cut all my knuckles. Yeah. So those things kind of hampered the preparation. They didn't bother me on the night of the fight. I didn't feel any pain in anything on the night of the fight, but it did hamper those last few weeks of preparation, which, when you think how close that fight was up until the end, you think those other few weeks had been a bit different. Maybe it'd have got me over the line, but hey ho, we live to tell the tale, and we're still working in boxing, with Sky Sports now as a commentator, so very, very blessed.
No, I do agree with you. I mean, I box myself at a much lower level, but all those little 1% can make a difference. So I remember when Martinez fought Murray, but obviously you're boxing in Argentina in his home stadium, but things happen.
He was unlucky. Mike Moore was very unlucky too. He should have been a world champion.
I thought he won that fight, but listen, it happens. I was here. What I think is a very good question, which a lot of people don't think about. Now, I'm not saying I'm the most knowledgeable about boxing in terms of history and all that sort of stuff, but there's certain parts I understand very well. The question I want to ask: are the media very harsh on fighters? Because if you're getting in the ring, if say you get in the ring with someone, whether you fight or whatever, you can only do your best. And I'll give you a simple example. It's like Roy Jones when he fought David Telesco, Richard Hall, these sort of guys. I just think that after a couple rounds, you can see it's a mismatch. You're not going to beat Roy Jones. If I jumped in there with Roy Jones today, or you, I've got fast feet. I might run around for a while, but I don't punch hard enough to have any effect on you. So what I'm trying to say, sometimes the media come up with unrealistic expectations of boxers. Like AJ, he lost to Usyk. Yeah, but you lost to someone who's much more experienced as an amateur. So when you're having a dig saying that he's lost to him and Joshua's not good anymore, it's unrealistic criticism. Do you agree? You feel I'm making a good point?
It's just the way it is. I think you're never as good as they say you are when they're raving about you, and you're never as bad you're never as bad as what they say you are when they're slagging you off. That's hype.
Yeah.
That's what happens in media, in sport. It's like you're man of the moment. or you're top of the scrap heap. You know, you're as good as your last fight, and that's a good thing, and it's a bad thing. You know what I mean? It can work out for you. It can be, you know, when you're up there, it's great. When you're down, it's stocks and shares. You know, it's simple as that. And
Wall Street.
I'm telling you, you're high one minute, your share price is down the next. Depending on how you performed, you're as good as your last fight. So, I just think you can't. Look, if you want to make it in this sport or in any sport, you've got to have thick skin.
Yeah.
You've got to have thick skin. You can't be oversensitive to what the media say. You know, you've got to have your team who you trust and whose competency and opinions you trust, and you give them credence. You know, obviously, but everyone else, you just got to take it with a pinch of salt.
Okay. I don't want to take up too much time, so I'll ask you in more detail another time.
Yeah.
Last question for now. Over the years, I've sparred and moved around with plenty of fighters. I've actually moved around with Tyson Fury before, Kell Brook recently. I landed one lucky shot and he finished me off. I wanted to ask your advice. Like, over the next few years, I want to try and spar as many pros on camera as possible with their permission. If the opportunity ever comes up, I'd even be happy to spar you. And I want to write a book about it. What's your advice? Do you think this is something that could work?
Well, more sparring days are done,
Okay.
so that won't be happening.
All right. Well, you're too much for me anyway, but go on.
I don't know. What are you looking to achieve?
It's interesting. It's, for example, my Kell Brook spar, it's already got over 14,000 views. It's already got more views than some of IFL's videos. I'll go into detail another time.
But what are you looking to achieve?
So, I box as well. I've had amateur, I've had white collar, and I just think it's interesting.
We're sparring these professionals and videoing it. What are you looking to achieve?
I think it's entertainment. It's like watching a Bruce Lee film. To see a man off the street like myself, I'll give you one example. Like, take Anthony Joshua. Obviously, I'm not stupid. I'm not saying we could spar for real, but if we ever did get in there, I just think it'd be funny for people to watch if it ever happens. I've actually sparred Fury twice before, so yeah, that's my answer. It's just entertainment. You know, do you think? I get some people will go with it. Some people think it's a good idea. Some people might think it's a bit silly. I do get that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'll just see what happens. I'll keep asking people and gauge the reaction.
Exactly, why not?
But anyway, thanks for your time, Matt.
Cheers.
Take care, mate.